DETV Sports Update is powered by DART, Delaware's transit service. Moving forward.
And welcome inside DETV. We are back on a Monday. We are into the month of May, guys. And now you'll be seeing a lot more of us consistently every single week. Nick Alessandrini, Jason McCall, Matthew Maurer. Guys, we are back on a Monday, and a lot has happened since the last time we shared the desk. We are into the NBA playoffs. The NFL draft is complete. We'll touch on our winners and losers from all three of us in the NFL. And, of course, we'll dive in to the NBA playoffs. A lot to touch on there, including the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics going at it tonight in Game 1 in the Eastern Conference semifinals. So a lot of talk between Matt, I, and Jason regarding that game. We'll get Dennis's picks as well as ours, and then we'll close things up and get ready for the Sixers around 7:30 p.m. Eastern. But first, guys, been a little bit since we've been together. How we doing? Jason, your Celtics in a big one tonight. We're going to get to some other big news for the Ravens flock here in a little bit, but how you feeling coming into this Monday?
Man, I'm feeling good. We're back. We're locked in. It's been a lot of interesting sports news the past few weeks since we've been away, but we're going to dive into it, and it's good to be back.
It is good to be back. Matt, how are we feeling?
Not well.
Not well. We need to hear more about this.
My team drafted a kicker in the third round, so.
Hey, John Leinster, sometimes pretty good. They got Brock Purdy with the last pick of the draft last year. Maybe he's going to be the next big thing. We'll see if he's the next Adam Vinatieri going forward with the San Francisco 49ers. But a lot to get into, guys. Let's start with the NFL draft, the winners and the losers. Everything complete this past week. At the end of April with the NFL draft. Some big things going down. The Panthers selecting Bryce Young with that top pick. Carolina bringing in their franchise quarterback after years of struggle since the Cam Newton departure after Super Bowl 50. Some big things for the Philadelphia Eagles, guys, as we talked about. They get the 10th pick. Some people thought or had hoped for maybe Bijan Robinson. He goes off the board at 8 to Atlanta. And they get Mel Kiper, at least his top player, on his big board. Jalen Carter, some of the character concerns had him drop into the 10th pick. They snag him there. So that's who I have, guys, when we start with our winners and losers. I'm going with the Eagles getting Jalen Carter at 10, and then obviously Nolan Smith at 30. So 2 Georgia Bulldogs for the Eagles in the first round. Jalen Carter's over-under in Vegas, guys, 5.5. He goes 10. Nolan Smith's over-under in Vegas before the draft, 11.5. He goes 30. I think that says enough about the value for the Eagles that they got in round 1. What do you guys think?
Yeah, they killed it. They killed the draft. They got Jalen Carter, who was, however you slice it. I mean, he was one of the top 3 guys in the draft. They got him at 9. They then went out and got Nolan Smith, who was a guy that was on a lot of people's boards in the top 10. So you're getting that compound value. And honestly, I just don't think the Eagles just won. I think the whole Pennsylvania did, because I think the Steelers had a tremendous draft. And then finally, I think Arizona really put some good meat on the bones of that team, especially getting some O-line play and the edge rusher that they need. So those are my 3 highest guys, I think, that really went into the draft and had a focus and had an idea of where they wanted to go.
Jason, are you going to go with the Ravens being your winners of the draft? We know they had a pretty good draft as well, but draft day was even better considering they got their franchise quarterback.
Pay that man. Give him his money. I take it in ones. Pay that man. But no, on a serious note, that was the best news on draft day, obviously, with Lamar signing the contract. 5 years, $260, $185 guaranteed. That puts him in the upper echelon of quarterback pay. As the highest overall value per season annually now at $52 million. But just to know that he's secure and locked into Baltimore, and let's not forget, he's only 26, so you're still going to get pretty much prime years of that contract. Not like he's 33 and getting that kind of deal. So I believe the pros will outweigh the cons with that deal. Obviously picking up Zay Flowers in the first round, who the Ravens have been targeting since there was no secret pre-draft who the Ravens wanted at that pick if we kept it. Zay Flowers. But also, outside of the Ravens, I like what the Seahawks did in the draft. They made some solid acquisitions in the draft. And I would say, of course, the Philadelphia Bulldogs, the Eagles. Great drafts. And I like Bijan going to Atlanta. Now they have a true running back, and you can use Patterson back at his natural combo kick returner / wide receiver / whatever, everything spot and keep him fresh. 'Cause I think they lost a lot of games last year because he wasn't fresh enough.
Yeah. And you got Algier, good 1-2 punch. They'll have him with Bijan next year. We'll see if Ritter, ran some RPOs in Cincinnati. They're going to put that back in the offense with Arthur Smith and put him in that. And Ritter didn't look great, at least to me, the end of last year, rookie year. What can you take from it? But this year, they'll look for him to really get going and see if he will be the franchise quarterback in Atlanta. So in terms of picks and steals of the draft, I don't know if it's a steal, but my favorite selection will be, as Matt talked about, the Steelers getting Joey Porter Jr. A lot of people had a first round grade on him. A lot of the mocks had him maybe somewhere in the top 20. He falls to day 2, 32 pick, which in any other year would be a first round pick. Miami loses that first round pick this year with the Tom Brady tampering stuff. So technically almost like a first round pick, but it is really a second round pick for Joey Porter Jr. His dad, obviously a huge part of that Super Bowl 40 team with Pittsburgh. So great to see Joey Porter Jr. in the black and gold for them. Is there any of you guys have a favorite selection or maybe a selection that you didn't like so much, Matt? Anything like that for you?
Well, yeah, I think Jahmyr Gibbs going as high as he did. Yeah, I think that was a crazy pick for me for the Lions. And then Emmanuel Forbes that Washington took with, you had Christian Gonzalez still on the board. Gonzalez had a top 10 pick grade. So depending on where you have him in your big board, and maybe they have that guy as higher, who knows? But I just really think Christian Gonzalez should have been taken there. But yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, I just didn't get that selection.
Yeah, Gibbs taken 12th overall, Jason. You got that Alvin Kamara comps in the NFL. We don't used to see running backs taken that early. Detroit traded back from 6 to 12 to take Jahmyr Gibbs. If you're sitting at 6, you could have taken Bijan if you really wanted a running back there at 6. They decided to go back to 12. They really liked Gibbs. Was that your weird pick of the draft anyway?
Yeah, I was sitting and watching the draft like, what? Huh? One of those is.
It was
what are we
shocker.
doing? But even Detroit trading out a lot of picks and doing stuff. They had a weird draft day, like overall. Like their whole draft sequence was it's like a shuffle mix or something. You didn't know what to expect.
And to throw in Hendon Hooker later in the draft as well. One of the picks.
Like
a lot
30.
of people had him in the first round.
I think that saved him.
So they kind of got Hendon Hooker. A lot of people like that pick. Yeah. The pick, just to stay on the Lions real quick, Jason, that Gibbs, it is what it is. You take a running back at 12, maybe not the best idea. We'll see. They obviously loved him there. But you also look at Jack Campbell, the middle linebacker they took at 16. Yeah. Another guy that was taken a little bit earlier than projected. And not only that, but a position that, a lot of people aren't too concerned with now, the middle inside linebacker spot. And obviously it's different in the NFC than the AFC. AFC, you're going to air it out more corners. You're going to look at that defensively. What do you think of that big inside linebacker there?
I think the Lions rather scholarly. I think with their defense, with the way they're position. I think that's good. That's gonna be a good pick for them. Okay. But I don't understand the fact that you trade T.J. Hawkinson, then you draft another tight end from Iowa anyway.
Yeah, Sam Laporta. Right?
Sam Laporta in the draft. I don't get it. But to answer your original question about like the feel good pick of the draft, outside of Joey Porter, it was the guy for the Cowboys with the scout call.
Deuce Vaughn,
Deuce Vaughn, yeah.
So Kansas State running back.
Yeah, Kansas State running back. So his dad getting to call him and draft him, that's probably like, I'll probably have that video in my phone for years because it was just the moment, you felt that. Mm-hmm. You felt the emotion in the room when that happened.
And to not only that, too, and it is a feel-good pick, and you maybe think picks like that late in the draft, maybe you don't ever anticipate him playing. But I'm with you. I think that's a good pick for them, performance-wise. I thought he was great at Kansas State, undersized. He's 5'5", 180. He's a short running back, but he was great at Kansas State. His dad, as Jason mentioned, is scout with the Dallas Cowboys. Some people had him going, from any time from the 4th round on. I was hoping maybe the Eagles would snag him late. They ended up getting DeAndre Swift. That's a whole different story, another Georgia Bulldog. Yeah. But I thought Deuce Vaughn was a great pick for the Cowboys as well.
Yeah, and I think the other loser was definitely Will Davis. I mean,
we have to touch
projected
on that,
top 10. We could argue his girlfriend had a better day than he did. I'm sure everybody's in their DMs, bro. You might want to check that Instagram account. But
and I'll say Van Ness from the Packers. That was another
right. That was a special. That's a special celebration there by the dad.
Yeah, that was some of the craziest stuff. We don't have a lot of time to touch on that. But
honestly, I think Will Levis is one of those guys that we'll look back in the draft and we'll talk about how people were so high on him. I think there was something that showed up that a lot of people aren't going to talk about because it's things in the back office that happen when you evaluate prospects. But for 32 teams, well, I guess you can carve out San Francisco, who didn't have a first-round pick. But more or less, 30 teams basically sat there and said, nah, I'm not taking that.
Oh, pick me.
Go ahead.
Name a successful quarterback from Kentucky that's ever played in the NFL and had a good career. Don't worry, I'll wait.
No, there's nobody.
I mean, Tim Couch was #1 pick, 99.
Yeah.
Burnt out. Rest in peace, Gerald Lorenzen, but he wasn't that good either. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Kentucky quarterbacks, they don't really have the pedigree at that position. I mean, you get a few games in the SEC every 10 years, they win more than 6 games. You know, it's a feel-good story, and then they plateau after that.
Yeah.
It's a thing. They're a basketball school, not football.
Yeah.
And let me play devil's advocate again on my big board. And we didn't get to have our draft show this year, unfortunately, which was a shame. There's too much stuff going on for all of us here. But Levis, again, was my 4th-ranked quarterback, and I'm sure I think I saw your guys' board as well. It was for me, was Young, Stroud, Richardson, and then Levis coming in at 4. So I had him behind the other 3 anyway. But on tape, big difference from his 2021 season to this year. Receivers, all young receivers this year. Injured running back, didn't play half the season. Horrible offensive line. He ended up getting beat up a lot. So I'll play devil's advocate. I do think that maybe he could have gone a little bit earlier, but I do one thing to look out for now is you got C.J. Stroud with the Texans, right? You've got Anthony Richardson with the Colts. You got Trevor Lawrence with the Jaguars. So 2 of the guys that went above him are going to be in the same division as him in the AFC South. He'll have a chance to prove it now going up against those guys that were taken ahead of him. I'm not saying he's going to do it.
He'll be on the clipboard this season.
But we'll see what the – and another thing is with Tennessee is, and again, Malik Willis didn't look good. It was his first year. We all thought coming into the draft show last year he needed a couple years just to – because the system he ran at Liberty, et cetera, was not going to get him, right to the NFL that quickly. They're really kind of putting him on the – I mean, I guess you had to take Levis there with that spot in the second round potentially. But they're kind of – I mean, I was not shocked, but a little surprised by the way that the Malik Willis is already put on the back.
In my eyes, it's very disrespectful.
Yeah,
I can't even say anything else. It's very disrespectful. Malik Willis, the tape, you saw what he did put on tape from college and then his first year in the league. But like you said, he was a project when you drafted him.
And they knew that, right?
And
they got him in the 3rd round. It wasn't like they used an early pick on him. And that's the thing. And again, if you were to put in a different spot, obviously the Tennessee Titans offense isn't exactly, a Shane Steichen Eagles offense where I think somewhere like Willis or Richardson would succeed, and I think that'd be a better fit for him. But again, a little surprised by the way they were just like, hey, let's take Levis. And who knows if we'll ever see Willis again, at least in the Titans uniform, but hopefully at some point in the NFL here.
Yeah, my problem with Levis, at least when I evaluated him and watched, when I say evaluated, I literally YouTube.
We all mean it loosely.
Right, we mean it very loosely, so don't come at me in the comments if you think I'm trying to be Mel Kiper here. But, the number one thing that young quarterbacks need to have in this game is to extend plays. When I watched him, he did not extend a lot of plays. I think that's why the Colts chose to go with Anthony Richardson, is because that's a guy that can extend plays, and he'll love this. They're looking for the next Lamar Jackson. And
they almost took Lamar from us.
That was the thing, right? That was a lot of big discussion.
If it wasn't for Bill Polian's evaluation on Lamar, he might have been a Colt. So I think when you see those type of things happen, where you see like Lamar kind of broke the mold, and when guys come in and kind of have similar athletic traits, they don't get dismissed as quickly now, because now it's like, oh, well, we did have a guy that was similar with those athletic traits that became MVP. Maybe we can put this. So Anthony Richardson needs to thank Lamar Jackson, because that's no question why he's got a top 5 selection. But also, in today's era, you got to extend plays. You got to be able to get out of the pocket. You got to be able to escape. And Anthony Richardson does that. Will Levis, I just think he's a guy that's going to sit in that pocket. And yeah, everybody talks about his strong arm, and Jason will remember this. I'm sure he will. We had a guy like that too. Kyle Bowler, I saw throw on his knees. You know what I mean? Threw on his knees.
Marcus Russell too could throw
No,
60 yards on his knees.
He had to mention Kyle should have been a bowler.
Hey,
that's a name that you don't mention in Baltimore at all.
Yes.
At
all. That's what I'm doing in the safety of Delaware.
At all. But I want to say this. Just another thing about the draft that was it was a cool sight for me. For a lot of people. Let's talk about the moment that happened in the draft, the history of it. You had 3 black quarterbacks going in the top 4 picks in the draft, first time ever. We went from having to have our positions changed to being 3 of the top 4 picks. I mean, you can't discredit that. You can't just put that under the rug. That was a very big moment, and it's a sign of the times changing in the league.
And
So,
again,
it's
and a
very
lot
good
of
to see.
that helped to Lamar, and props to Lamar Jackson again, really getting that trend going. And I think Richardson's in a great spot to succeed with Shane Steichen. The Colts got enough pieces to where he should be able to have some success. Jim Irsay saying he's going to be going from week one. A lot of people didn't think he was going to be the starter to start the season. That's what Jim Irsay is saying. We'll see if that is true. But I think you got to throw him out there.
I'll play this. They did the same thing with Peyton. He went 3-13 and ended up being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So that they have a track record of throwing people out there and they ended up being okay. So it's all right.
So before we move on, quick, best quarterback in the future in the AFC South: Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson. For the next 10 years, who are you going with?
You take that first. I got to think
Trevor
about that.
Lawrence.
I think I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence too. If you had to go with the rookies, who would you guys go with?
I really like Anthony Richardson.
10 years, Trevor Lawrence. Next few years, Anthony Richardson, for sure.
Anthony Richardson. You know what? I'm going to show, and again, I'm a big Florida guy. Been keeping up with AR-15. No longer his nickname due to other reasons, so I apologize there. But I'm going to go with Bryce Young, I think, for the next couple years. Just for now, I'm going to show Bryce Young, the number one pick, some of the respect he deserves. But Anthony Richardson, I think, for the long term, is who I'd be leaning towards. With
you saying that, do you have any concerns, and this is to Jason as well, do you have any concerns about that weight and the height?
For Bryce Young?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I do. I do. I just think that he's...
See Kyler Murray.
I do. It's just, for me, the processing, watching him get through his reads, he can extend the plays like you mentioned. He has not only the ability to create, and extend plays, but he's got the best, I think, mental of all the quarterbacks in this class. Being able to decipher defenses and different coverages, get rid of the ball quickly. I think that's the only reason he'll be able to. But again, and it was a long draft process trying to evaluate him, like we said, loosely. But the height is not so much as it is for me as the weight. He weighed in at 204 at his pro day, and that's when he ate all day the day before. Like, that's going to be a heavy. He's not going to weigh more than that, going into the football season. So you're going to think he walks around 195, right? Like 5'10", 195. Yeah. That's small. So again, it worries me a little bit, but I think the mental aspect he will be able to overcome. But can he take the hits? And if he does, can he keep going?
DBs for a long time with that size in the NFL, between 5'10" and 6'1", 195, 200. So as long as he has a good pocket, that's really all you can count for. So the O-line has to be...
They had Ekwonu last year. They drafted him with that top 5 pick.
The O-line has to be legit, because if not, then he's running for his life.
So we'll find out. But again, Kyler Murray, different story, same height, but he came in like 210. He was a little bit stockier, so he could take some hits. We'll see if that 195-pound body can do it for Bryce Young. But I do have faith in the number 1 overall pick. Let's move to the NBA, guys, now. Conference semis are set. Denver and Phoenix, they're a game through there. Golden State and the Lakers, they get underway tomorrow night on the back half of the slate on TNT. Miami and the Knicks, game 1 underway yesterday, and then Boston and Philly will get into that one for tonight at 7:30. But guys, we're going to start with Denver and Phoenix. Game 1 on Saturday, as both of them took care of business in round 1. I believe both winning in 5 games in their opening series. But it was all Denver in game 1 at home. Again, coming into that contest, I think Phoenix was 12-1 with the full lineup with Durant healthy. And Jamal Murray and Jokic gave them work. A 20-point win for Denver. They kind of led wire to wire, didn't look close at all, really, except for the Suns, who actually led after the first quarter. Then it was all Denver. What stood out to you guys in that first-round matchup? Matt, we'll start with you here. Denver and Phoenix, and we all kind of gave our conference finals picks. We'll go over that in a little bit. But what stood out to you between the Nuggets and the Suns?
I think what stood out to me was just the inefficiency of the Phoenix Suns to get their offense going. And in particular, they look like they don't really have an identity right now. When they don't like they know who's the guy to give the ball to in what situation. Because you can see there's times where Durant is clearly frustrated when he's out there with Booker. Booker sometimes gets frustrated. Really, they have to figure that out. If they don't figure that out, this is going to be a really hard series for them. And, to the Jokic people, I got questions. You guys told me he had no help. I don't know what you guys saw, because I saw Murray, I saw Michael Porter, I saw Aaron Gordon. I mean, those guys,
big for them.
He's got more than enough help. He's got more help than Embiid, who should be MVP this year. And he's got more help than Giannis. So there's a ton of – this team is really stacked when you start looking at those positions, more so than people want to let on. But, I expect this to be one of these games that if Phoenix – can get going a little bit, I think they got the better scorers on the side. So I think that's a plus. And look, Kevin Durant to me is one of the most unbothered stars out here. It doesn't really matter who you have guarding him. he's pretty unbothered out there most of the time. So I think if they can get that figured out, I think the Suns can win the series. But if they don't, and Denver running like they did the first game, it's going to be really painful, really long. And Chris Paul, this is going to be another in the long line of legacies of you not showing up.
And it is not a good matchup for CP3. Again, coming in, excuse me, Monty Williams was worried about that matchup with Jamal Murray, the dribble handoffs, fighting through screens, not really at his age, kind of ready for that at this point in the playoffs, Jason. But watching that game, Matt mentioned Jokic. We know Durant, Booker, but the best player on the floor on Saturday was Jamal Murray, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, Jamal Murray. I mean, this is what you get when you have a healthy Jamal Murray.
Right, I agree.
I mean, we saw it in the bubble. We've seen it prior to this.
And he said that's bugged him. He said the whole bubble Murray thing, and he goes, it's not bubble Murray, it's just me when I'm healthy.
Yeah, it's just
he said
him,
that's
healthy,
getting to him, he said.
But I mean, hey, it's not our fault. We saw you on the prime time in the bubble. Like, we really didn't see you before that. So, you got to eat that description. But no, Jamal Murray being Jamal Murray, and go back to the Chris Paul thing. Like, Phoenix has not done well in getting a secondary point guard for that team. I think that's an issue with the offense as well. They don't have a secondary handler to come in and actually facilitate the offense.
Depth in general also.
Yeah,
that's a big part of it, though. You're right.
I think that's Phoenix's problem in general, but especially at the point guard
Especially.
position. I mean, campaign.
And he's still hurt, right? They would kill for him. Not that he's like a world beater, but they would kill for him right now. He is a little bit of flash.
But I would tell you this. This series has proven why they miss Bridges, because he was that secondary ball handler, starting the offense, and keeping Booker off the ball. That's going to show up in this series, like you said. The Phoenix Suns do not have identity because they haven't played together long enough yet. I liken them to the 2010-2011 Heat. Star players, star roster, mediocre bench, can kind of get through most teams, but when you get to later rounds, your weaknesses will show up. So that's what I see right now in Phoenix.
The thing that stood out to me, and I thought this was incredible going over the stats, first half, they were 2 of 5 from 3. They shot 5 threes, the Suns did, in the first half. I think that's the second time in playoff history in the last 50 years or something where it's been that little from beyond the arc, especially in today's NBA. You're not going to win a game, I don't care how well you're shooting from, inside the arc. 2 for 5 from 3 in the first half. You got to put up more threes, and Durant and Booker talked about it after the game. They said they're absolutely right. They got to shoot more. They ended up going 7 of 23. The Nuggets shot 37 threes. But that's going to be a big part of it for me as Phoenix, and I'm sure that's going to be different tonight. When they come out tonight, I guarantee you Monty Williams is they're going to have them letting it fly from beyond the arc. What do you guys think? I think that's a big deal there.
Yeah, I think they have to. Yeah,
they have to. Well, we'll see who you guys have winning the series then.
I still have Phoenix winning it. I think they got the better scores.
Initially, I had Phoenix winning the series.
So did I.
I don't like what I saw in game 1, but you can't be
big
on game 1.
That's how it is, right? Agreed.
But I still take Phoenix, and I think this goes 7 games.
I think it will go 7 games too. And again, I had Phoenix coming in. This is a really tough one for me. Man, I'm gonna stick with Denver. I'm gonna go with just its Jamal Murray factor for me. If Jamal Murray is gonna have to be good every single game. And I'm gonna say he's able to do that. And will Devin Booker and Durant be able to hold up in a 7-game series with Denver, with the altitude and some of these away games putting up? They're gonna have to put up. I don't know how many shots they combined for in this game, but they're gonna have to maybe put up 50 shots combined between those two if they want to maybe compete with this offense from Denver.
I mean, they were at 38 shots for game 1 combined. So I mean, but Durant 7 turnovers.
And that can't do that. And I don't think that will happen again. I don't think he'll have 7, but you're right, can't if they want to win.
Again, Durant can facilitate, but it's not his strong suit. So you're really trying to initiate offense for everyone else. You're going to get those high number turnovers.
And 7 turnovers to 1 assist, and he highlighted that after the game. He said he cannot have just 1 assist as well. I will say, though, he looked good defensively in that game in Denver.
Kevin Durant is one of those guys who is actually an above-average defender,
I agree,
but doesn't get the credit for being a defender. He's actually a legit defender, and we saw it when he went to Golden State. He developed his shot blocking. Like, he's really an all-around player. He has been for the last 6-7 years now. Like, it's really scary that he's still playing at this high level at his advanced age as well. Because we forget, he's like 34 himself.
Yeah, so, and before we move on, we're going Denver then? You're going Denver in 7?
I'll go Denver in 7.
I'm going to go Denver in 7, Phoenix.
I'm still going Phoenix in 7.
So at least we all got it going. 7 games between Denver and Phoenix, 2 with the Nuggets, and Matt going with the Suns. So I had something else I wanted to add on to the end there. I don't remember, so we will keep it moving and head to the Heat and the Knicks. Not a lot of time to spend on this one. An ugly game, but kind of what you expect when these two teams are going to go at it at MSG. Jimmy Butler goes down late, but the Heat still able to pull it out. Kyle Lowry turning back the clock. Looked a little bit like Raptors Kyle Lowry to close that one out. Hit some tough shots to help the Heat pull it out late. Jimmy, we'll see how he is for game 2. Will they even want him to play? Maybe they'll sit him. They already got one game in New York. Maybe they'll just say, hey, let's just give it a shot, head back to Miami with Jimmy in a week.
It's not happening.
What do you think, Jason?
That's not happening. That's
You think he'll be on the floor?
Butler. He is the man. He is the man. He turns into Michael Jordan every playoffs. Like, playoff Jimmy is a real thing. We saw what he did to the Bucks, who you know my opinion about that if you follow me on social media. But no.
Ouch, we didn't get to talk about the Bucks disaster. We'll talk about that when we have more time.
But the Heat and the Knicks, thank you, basketball gods. We haven't seen this series in a long time. Thank you, basketball gods, getting those Heat Knicks.
How about those Alonzo Mourning? They kept showing Alonzo Mourning on courtside at the game.
I've
never seen somebody that he's just as intense as Alonzo Mourning.
You remember seeing Van Gundy grab his ankles and stuff? You see all the fights, and Mason and everybody. But no, I think this is. We see right now the teams that left in the semifinals. You have every seed in the semifinals. You have all 1 through 8. All seeds are in the semifinals, which has never happened before in NBA history. But also, you have very good historical matchups, and we'll get to the last one at the end. But I like what the Heat can do. The difference between the Heat and the Knicks, defense. That's the only difference between the two teams. I think they're evenly matched, but I think that when you add the Jimmy Butler factor, who can go off at any given time, and then you still have Bam, and you have Kevin Love playing quarterback, throwing touchdown passes.
And again, no Tyler Hero either for this team. It's really incredible that they're still able to do
Oladipo,
it. That's Jimmy Butler. It's all
Jimmy Butler. Bam is playing great. Strus, Vincent have been playing their usual playoff selves, and like you said, with a Kyle Lowry sighting.
And former Delaware Bluecoat Haywood Highsmith getting minutes in the playoffs with the Miami Heat. And I think this is a correct stat, and I don't want to say it if I'm wrong, but I think half of the team for the Miami Heat, or some percentage, is undrafted. They've got like 6 guys that are. I mean, it's incredible what they're able to do.
It's the Miami Heat culture. Yeah. You fit in. You get your weight down, get your body fat down. You get your conditioning. They all like hard-nosed players. I mean, and you have to credit Alonzo Mourning for the beginning of that process. Like, Heat were always a decent team, but once he got there, it definitely shifted to a tough-minded mentality, in your face. Pat Riley coaching them. They've kept that since. Even though Pat Riley's not the coach, he's still the coach. You understand what I'm saying? So
same spot every game.
His imprint is still on his team, and when you have players like UD who played for 20 years and still new players come in, you got to go through UD. You got to talk to him about the culture of the team, and everybody fits in. So you don't need a bunch of superstars. You need a superstar or two, and they have that. I believe Jimmy Butler is a superstar, and Bam's been a couple of all-stars. So I'll give him that title because based on his ranking and status and everything, I'll give him that. So they have 2 quote-unquote superstars on the team. You have an aging superstar in Kyle Lowry, well, who was a star. I'll say star with Kyle Lowry. Wasn't a superstar, he was a star for a while. But you have the big names, if you will, already. And you throw in the other pieces in between. They built a great roster.
A lot of Villanova Wildcats running around at MSG the other day. Josh Hart, you had Jalen Brunson, Kyle Lowry. Good showing for Villanova. But Matt, what we saw from the Cavaliers on the road at MSG in that first round is they were shook from that crowd, from that moment there. Miami Heat, the Jimmy Butler factor. It was just another day, playing basketball for those guys on the road at Madison Square Garden. What did you see in that series in Game 1?
I mean, I saw Jimmy Buckets Butler go do his thing that he's been carrying on through the whole playoffs. I'm not a big believer in the Knicks, just because I think they got some mid in R.J. Barrett. Sorry, R.J. Barrett's some mid,
I was going to say Matt's mid of the week and see if you have a mid selection of the week. So is that your mid selection of the week?
Him and
R.J. Barrett?
Duncan Robinson is some mid too. Duncan, you some mid.
He's forever mid though.
Sorry, you one of the better undrafted players.
That's right. He's getting some minutes, right? Division II to Michigan.
Yeah, Division. Yeah, I give him the credit, but bro, thank God for that jump shot, man. Because if that jump shot didn't exist, you would not be in the league because you can't guard a chair. But
that's true.
R.J. Barrett, man, he dropped 26 points, shot 50%. I was shocked.
Right? You watched the game, and I would have never said that was his stat
This guy is one of the most inefficient shooters I've ever seen in my life. If he continues to do that, he can make it a series.
I mean, he's a Blue Devil, but go ahead,
Like, that's the thing. Like, I thought watching the game, I would have never thought he played that well. When you look at the box score, you'd say, "Oh wow, he had a pretty good game," and they still, couldn't get it done at home. I thought it would be Toppin played well as well. What do you highlight?
We're looking at this. All these players on here. Julius Randle, where are you?
Yeah.
That's always the next problem.
Shout out to Mitchell Robinson. That's my dog.
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson's been playing very well.
Yeah.
But again,
they got to get him healthy.
Randle can't disappear.
Well, that's the thing. It's hard when we'll see if they get him back for the series. It was weird that he was out for game 1. We'll see if he's back for game 2. I would imagine he would be. They kind of played really well without him to end that last series. Maybe they thought, hey, we'll give him a game. We'll see how they do. They didn't do well. So I think he'll be back for game 2 because they're going to need him when maybe they thought they.
But truth I say this, even when he played in last series,
yeah, you're right. Oh,
Randle,
you're right.
he disappeared.
Absent.
He wasn't regular season Randle.
And he was, and that's right. Regular season Randle was, you would imagine, a third team, maybe All NBA player this year.
Fact.
So I don't want to give him this label yet. I hope he doesn't fall into this trap. But if he keeps playing this in the playoffs, you might have to put him in that James Harden disappeared playoffs category.
Well, let's wait. Let's stay with that. James Harden. It's an even bigger game for our boy tonight, James Harden. No Joel Embiid, and then we'll end with Game 7 yesterday quickly. But we got to get to the Sixers and the Celtics. Joel Embiid rolled out about a couple hours ago. That's kind of been the feeling the last week. He's been doubtful for a week. A left knee sprain that came up after the end of the series against the Nets, during the series against the Nets. It's been the 4th consecutive year now that Joel Embiid will not be healthy in the playoffs. Not only healthy, but also missing some time now, missing game 1 in a very important series against Boston, in a series that the winner will most likely be a heavy favorite in the Eastern Conference Finals, depending on whoever wins between Miami and the Knicks. Matt, to me, I'm emotionally in a bad spot with Embiid now. I thought this might have been the year coming up. He's going to win the MVP. They sweep the Nets. Got some extra time before you get Boston, about over a week to rest up. He's not even playing now. Am I crazy to be this upset with Joel Embiid? What's the next step with Joel Embiid? Do you see him coming back, making an impact? And if the Sixers go down again to Boston here in round 2, how many years where they can't get out of the second round? Do we need to see some sort of change in Philadelphia, or is that too soon to be talking about?
Oh, well, the change is coming. It's called Doc Rivers. They're going to throw him right on that plane and say, bye, man. Appreciate you. It's going, bro. It's going. And obviously, Embiid's going to take some brunt of the criticism here because, let's just be honest, he's done better with his conditioning. He's done better at being in shape. But we could still make an argument that when he starts the season, he's not fully in shape. I think some of these injuries are a result of just how he plays.
I agree. And why do you have to hit the deck 10 times in one game?
Yeah.
You don't have to hit the floor that many times.
if he got ejected for kicking Claxton, he'd be healthy.
Yeah, this is true.
Wow, why can you imagine?
He'd be healthy. I'm just saying. That leg, that hyperextended, all that. So he'd be healthy.
Yeah.
Because he got injured after that. During that game.
But now if we're thinking long term here, I know we want to live in the moment. Second round, big series with the Celtics. This season's not over. High expectations. But say he can't go for the series at all. Say they lose 4-1, swept or 4-1, even 4-2, best case scenario.
If he can't play,
exactly.
Get them brums out if he can't play.
No, that's what I'm saying. Say that. Say it's a sweep and B doesn't play. Do you come back in with the next season? James Harden most likely probably won't be back with the Sixers, right? But what do you do with Embiid? Does Embiid become maybe?
No.
No.
You're going too far.
That's what I want you guys to say.
Going too far, baby.
You build around Embiid and Maxey.
That's it. Yes.
Period. If your name isn't Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey, you're expendable after the season.
Fourth year in a row, he hasn't been available in the playoffs.
If your name is not Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey, you are expendable.
So say we go into next year and he's not available again, and then the 6th year they can't get out of the 6th round.
See, you're going too far right now. You're going too much.
You could say that now, but a couple years ago you would have said that I'm going too far. Here we are. We're in the present, and he's missed 5 straight playoffs. So I don't know.
But he's the reason why you guys are there.
That's true.
But where? A second round exit?
People have made the playoffs for 20 years. Be thankful.
Let me say this, though. Let me just say this. I understand your frustration, but I think the problem with the frustration is the blame isn't on Embiid. The blame is on, and people don't like to hear this because for some reason he has his fans. The blame is on Sam Hinkie. He put you guys on this road of, It's the process. Trust
the
me.
process.
I know what I'm
That was
doing.
the worst thing for the franchise, in my opinion.
Yes, and the result of that has become that fans like yourself, who are fans of the team, are irritated because you're tired of waiting, and who can blame you? You've been sold this magical bag of beans for years now. But I do agree with Jason. Embiid's not the issue. Keep Embiid because he's the reason why you're even there. You keep Maxey. Kid has the most potential on the roster. But yeah, Tobias Harris, you find somebody, you got to go, bro. You making 80 plus million or something like that. Got to go. James Harden, look, man.
He's just old now.
Go drink a milkshake somewhere, man. Like, it's just time to
But
let
the
man.
series hasn't started yet, so I'm not going to go
Exactly. You only go
that far.
But tonight,
It's going, though.
it
It's
could be a
going.
blowout loss tonight, and then that's where
You
the
know it's
minds are going
going.
to go.
He knows it's going.
And
He's
again,
over here
I'm
trying to
trying
be
to
all
play-
humble. He knows it's over. He knows he's a Boston fan. He's trying to be humble right now. Like,
And again,
be careful, guys.
Embiid,
We don't know
my
yet.
favorite player in the league. Favorite player in the
Being
league.
humble right now.
it,
You need to
I'm
stop.
just playing devil's advocate again. Because, at some point we'll have to see what happens. But again, no.
You don't want to jinx yourself, huh?
Here's where the humility stops.
Okay.
It's all right.
There you go.
There we go. That's what we've been
Here we
waiting
go.
for here.
It's all right. You
There
see
we
it,
go.
We here.
Score prediction tonight, Jason. They're 10-point favorites. What's the score?
Got the
gonna be?
cash money millionaire Celtics.
Yeah, the 99 and 2000.
There you go.
Got the D Brown pump song, Reebok pumps. We doing Celtics all day. Green and gold, green for
There
money,
you go.
gold for the 100.
Do they cover 10 tonight?
No,
No, but they win.
they win. They don't cover 10 because
I say they win by 15.
I'm gonna tell you why they might not cover 10. I think because of Embiid being out,
Oh, yeah, okay.
Harden might have one of those crazy fourth quarters that he used to. His one
playoffs?
game in the series, he might have a crazy fourth quarter.
Well, they're needing
Bring him
it's a big
closer.
game for him today.
Is it in Philly?
No.
So there's no cheesesteaks waiting for James Harden. So I'm going to say no. They're going to win by 14.
And the afterlife in Boston, not, the
Yeah,
same. So.
But
There's no bars open.
no
James Harden has no reason to hurry up and finish that game.
I will say this about the Celtics. Of course, no.
A lot of single mothers get paid off James Harden. God bless him.
Of course, there's a
Keeping
lot
the
of
community alive.
Keeping it
Listen,
alive.
he's paying tuition out here.
He's paying.
But
A lot of doctors, man.
He's like a philanthropist.
Yeah, exactly.
It's foundation.
Exactly. It's foundational work.
But I would say honestly, the Celtics to me, they don't play as great at home as they do on the road. Like a lot of times, you either have Tatum or Brown. You don't have both going at the same time at home a lot of times. Like people, when you're a real Celtics fan, you watch them a lot, you'll notice that. I think the role players be better at home, like the Brogdons and the Smarts and people like that. But at home, you get one or the other. You never get both.
So a couple of minutes left here. Let's make our predictions for the Sixers Celtics. I'm going to have, and
Celtics in 6.
I'm going to go now the positive side of things. I have them coming back. I'm going to hope for a Game 3 return for Embiid that completely turns the tables. They take 2 at Philly, 2-2 heading into Game 5. I'm going to go with the Sixers in 7. And what do you think, Matt? What do you think about that? What do you think about that pick, Matt?
Nah, man. I'm going
What if Embiid comes back for Game 3 and plays the rest of the series?
If he plays the rest of the series, it's going to be a really good series.
So that's where I'm
He
going.
doesn't
That's
come
me
back in
being-
the series,
I'm being
and
positive here.
he comes out there looking injured and haggard.
Which would be worst case scenario.
5, man.
Boston
I give the Sixers maybe get 1.
I have Celtics in 6 because when I rub it in, you win it.
He's just smiling as he
Yeah.
says.
Yeah, it's the lack of humility right now.
X factor for me before we quickly touch on the last game before we get out of here. I think Derek White's been great for them.
Oh, he's been
I mean,
playing.
he's been.
Yeah.
I think he's been fantastic. So I think Derek White be X factor for Boston in this series. I think, and I think he'll have a good series.
I think so too. Get that man a Rogaine endorsement, man. Get that man a Rogaine endorsement, man.
Stephen A. Smith lights.
So we have that there. Quickly though, before we get out of here, have to touch on Steph's 50-piece yesterday.
Yeah.
Maestro.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Virtuoso performance.
38 shots in 38 minutes. He knew it was going to be his day. He came in with kind of that assassin mentality. It was going to be him leading them to victory.
50.
He has 50.
50.
Warriors win 120 to 100. I mean, what a series it was. First off, between those two teams, but a phenomenal ending.
If you're out there, best friend, you know who you are, Kings fan.
Oh, no.
We cut electricity off. Pay your bill next season. It's all right. Light the beam. No, sir. It's all right.
King. They played well,
Baby Kings.
man. They played well.
Baby
They played
Kings.
well.
Baby Kings.
They did play well.
These are baby kings.
Look, it's the Warriors. I kind of figured this was going to happen, but you know, an honest question. I see there's people out there talking about who's the better point guard, Steph or Magic Johnson.
What?
I don't really. Yeah,
Wait.
trust me, it's on Facebook. It's crazy.
Oh Lord,
it's a thing. It's a thing.
What?
I'm more interested in a different conversation that I think people are going to have to start talking about here. Is with Michael, we had Michael's window of dominance, and once he started dominating, no one was even close. We have LeBron, who had his level of dominance. Is it fair to say that maybe Steph dominance
Hell yes.
is equal to LeBron's dominance?
I would say it's probably closer to Michael's than LeBron's.
And again,
I agree with you on that.
and that's the thing. I think we would be the only desk in America across the board to say that. So I get what when you come out and say that, you're thinking, oh man, that's going to be met with some criticism.
Right.
Not
I think
here.
at this desk it doesn't, which I
Not
think is
here.
a little crazy. But I think you're right. I think that's a great national question to
Yeah.
have. And I'm agree with you too. I think, and I think it has
You
to.
have to.
be.
I'm gonna give y'all a stat that proves that.
Yeah.
Tell me the last team that put the Warriors out in the playoffs. Clippers, 2014.
That's right. He has
Okay,
a full team. Yeah.
Last time he lost a playoff series.
CP3 and Blake Griffin.
Last time he went home. Before the finals was 2014.
Yeah, I see what you're going with that. Yeah.
So that's almost 10 years of either I'm winning the championship or I'm in the game.
Right.
And again, I think the Raptors series with Durant, Clay was hurt, Durant was hurt,
Yeah,
Steph was hurt. If
doesn't-
that team would have been there, that would have been, we could have landed another ring to that group as
And
well.
then let me finalize it with this. We just talked about how the Phoenix Suns didn't shoot enough threes.
2 for 5.
Could we argue that like Michael brought the dunk
Flair.
and flair, that Steph has done that for the three-point jump shot?
Oh yeah,
See, the thing is,
I agree.
we know we've had great shooters before,
Right.
but the Warriors' scheme in general changed the entire game of basketball with
Yes.
the shooting of threes, and you have two of the greatest shooters of all time in Steph and Clay. Like to have that on your team, in the start lineup, and then to have them trade off three-point shooting titles and Steph shooting, making 400 threes a season, which is crazy. Some people didn't used to hit 200 in a season.
Right.
Yes, he has changed the game. I mean, you have that.
I don't see how people don't have this conversation. It's like,
It doesn't make sense to me. And again, to touch on Steph, again, the rest of the team, the Warriors, I believe, are a phenomenal shooting team in the playoffs. I want to say like 50%, through the run or whatever. They did not shoot well in Game 7 against the Kings. That was just a Steph game to lead them to victory. I think they'll be, better off going forward. 22 points in the paint, a career high. He was great finishing at the rim yesterday as well.
which he's very good at.
That's
Yeah,
the part of the game
underrated,
he didn't get
right?
credit
Yeah,
for.
it's like-
He gets no credit for that.
No credit.
And you know what? I'll give Steph a little bit more credit over the last few seasons. He's actually tried to play defense.
Yeah, I agree.
Like he makes a better effort on the defensive side of the ball.
And
Shout out to Mark Jackson.
And yesterday, De'Aaron Fox, the Kings, that was their point of emphasis. They were switching Curry onto Fox, and they were trying to get that one-on-one matchup. Fox had, I believe, his worst shooting game of the series yesterday. Not a total testament to Steph Curry.
Sure.
We know that finger has been bothering him, and he didn't look the clutch time De'Aaron Fox that we used to see.
Also, Steph Curry been in the weight room the last few years. He's
He's
not
got-
the same
oh, yeah.
Steph. He's been
No doubt.
He's like a solid 6'4", 220 now.
And
Like,
again,
it's, it's crazy.
And you talk
Yeah.
about the injuries, those ankles in the beginning of his career.
Yep.
For him to be here now and be healthy, the year that he's been able to be healthy with, because his ankles were in such bad shape early on in his career.
drink
They ever
enough
thought he
milk.
might not even be able to keep
He
playing.
wasn't drinking milk back then. so.
Yeah, well, he's
But no,
ready
but
to go
seriously,
now.
there was a time in Golden State where you were like, are we keeping Monte or are we keeping Steph?
Right.
I'll tell you, Ellis, wow.
That wasn't that long ago.
Mississippi
Yeah,
Bullet.
Beatrice
Shout out.
at center.
Let's not forget that.
No, you're right about that. But I can tell you this right now. Out of everybody, that LeBron would rather face Jokic
Than
face
face-
yeah.
Before we move on here, we're finding 7:30. Sixers coming up here in just a second. Lakers, Warriors. Who wins that series? How many games? Jason, start with you.
It's going 7. I don't know who wins.
Warriors in 7.
I'm saying Warriors in 6.
Warriors in 6.
You know what? I'm gonna have to go with my gut. I'll go Lakers in 7.
And again, for the record, we'll talk about this next week. Jason has the Lakers-Celtics NBA Finals. What a historical matchup
I do.
that would be. Well, that'll do us for us on a Monday. Make
Follow
sure you
script.
check out the
There you
Sixers
go.
Game 1 Eastern Conference Semis with Boston. Jason McCall, Matthew Maurer, Nick Alessandrini. Thank you to Dennis Pritchett. We will see you next Monday, same time, and a special thanks to Dart moving forward.